Okay, so I'm going to start off by just welcoming you, and also, so right now, I think we're going to talk about at first how to record yourself with cell phone. We have a motorcycle going by. Um, so what I do is I have my cell phone here. I have it on a little stand so it actually can hold the cell phone. And there's a couple of different options that you have. What kind of, do you have Android or do you have Apple products?
I have I have an iPhone.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
And it's an 11, so it's pretty advanced technology.
good.
Yeah.
And Jag, what kind of phone do you have?
I have an iPhone as well,
Okay,
but it's iPhone 6, I think it is.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm using a 10R. So, but I think everything I'm going to talk about is pretty much you can do with any of these phones. So I'm going to talk about a couple of different ways you can record yourself. Gloria, you mentioned you use the memo app.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different ways. There's the memo app. And if you do have an iPhone, there is an app I think that's free on the Apple Store called Garageband.
Right. Yeah.
And what I've been doing with all these students, a lot of these virtual concerts we've been doing video. So doing a video which records visual and audio. There's another option for recording your audio as well. There's ways of getting just the audio portion of the video transferred into a way of working with it later. So we'll start simple. We'll start with what just recording audio. So there's a couple of different apps. I'm trying to go through the whole process with you. So you use the memo app. It's voice memos.
Yep. Yeah, it's in the utilities folder.
Yeah, so I've just loaded it on here. And it's pretty simple. It has a record button.
Yep.
So you can record yourself, and another so what I'm going to suggest is a two-part process here. So when it comes to playing with the tracks, here's what probably best practice is you want to have the track playing on another device in headphones, so that you're going to be listening to, I'm going to use as an example tonight, I'm going to use Au Privat, which is the fast blues, which is I think now available. I'm going to use that as an example tonight. So I'm going to do this a couple of different ways. So I'm just going to, first of all, I'm going to record myself, just audio, in voice memo. And I'm going to put the phone in my stand here, so that it's going to record. Record myself and have it access and holding still. I don't know if it's on camera or not, but there's a, yeah, you see it. There it is right there.
Yeah.
And so while I do that, I've loaded into a player this track. I'm going to play a little bit of the track. This is it's called Fast Blues, or F Blues Play Along. And that sound is not going to be in the room. And so I'm going to pick up my alto saxophone, and I'm going to just play the opening, the melody, the Au Privat at the front, hopefully. And I'm going to record that to my phone.
Okay, that makes sense.
While listening to the track on my headphone. So just bear with me. And I'm going to press record. If I have to wake up my phone again, my phone doesn't remember who I am. Who am I? I'm going to press record on my phone. So my phone is now recording. I'm going to go back to the beginning of the track and I'm going to start playing. Hopefully there's a count in. And there we go. And hopefully I'm there. I recorded 36 seconds. So now I should have a recording on my app of me playing. It's now recording. I'm going to go back to the beginning of the track and I'm going to start playing. Hopefully there's a count in. So you hear me playing and you don't hear the track. So next question is that I didn't think about this. How is there a way of exporting this out of this app? And how do I do that?
You can share, there's a share on it, I believe.
So let's see, I can change the name. There's 3 little dots that might tell me I can share.
Yep, there it
we're
is.
gonna
That's what it is.
share that to save to files. Oh, iCloud desktop. Perfect. Let's do that. That seems to be happy now. Hopefully it's saving. Great. Okay, so once it's over here, okay, so you can hear that I'm listening to my saxophone. Good, so we have that. So next question, there's a couple of different options. So I'm going to talk about 2 different programs. The 2 programs are Audacity and Garageband. I'm actually going to talk about Audacity because it's an open source free program that works in either Windows or Mac. So it works on everything. And I'm going to share a screen. I just downloaded it a little while ago because it's been a while since I've used it. I normally use Logic, but that costs money, and this one doesn't, and it does a lot. I'm just going to share a screen with you so you can start to see what I'm going to do here, what magic we can do here. So I'm sharing you the home screen of Audacity. So when you open this little program, it looks like this, and you're going, oh my God, what is that? So this is kind of the working area. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import an audio file. So if I go to under the file menu to import, hopefully audio, and I'm going to choose to import F Blues Play Along. So you see all this information now just appeared in this program. So I can put the cursor here, and then now, do you hear this?
Yep.
And I was going to actually, there's a little piece of software I'm not talking about, which is a routing software that routes everything together. So we actually, so it's going to put the cursor at the front here. You probably hear it even better. So this is Rob, Steve, and Stan playing Au Revoir. Great. So now we're going to import another audio file. We're going to import audio. The next one we're going to import, this should be on my desktop. Whoops. Okay, so we're going to import audio. And look on my desktop. And that's called Arthur Drive for some reason. I guess that's where I record. That's where I am tonight. So it's. I'm supposed to import some sort of libraries that don't seem to be here. I didn't like that. It was a coding problem. Oh yes, okay. I have to do something, I guess, to make this work. Let me try that again. Import audio. Arthur Drive, because it's in Apple MPEG 4 audio format, and it's telling me go to edit preferences, libraries to download, edit references, edit. Because of the format of this is Logic will automatically do things for me that Audacity doesn't seem to.
So is it because the format of the file is not readable?
I need to download some sort of converter. It's telling me to go to edit preferences libraries, but maybe I have to close this dialog box first. Okay, so let's go to edit. Let's go to preferences actually. Libraries. I'm just going to do this differently. I'm going to close. I'm going to stop the share. And I'm going to switch to Garageband, which is a free app for all of you that have Mac or Apple products. So I'm going to open Garageband, which I also don't use anymore because I use Logic. But I hope this will, I hope it's going to be okay. So we're going to open a new project in GarageBand, and we're gonna, okay, I better share screen so I'm showing you what I'm doing here, otherwise it would be like, so I'm going to say I'm going to record with using a microphone. I'm going to say that, say create, and doesn't share that screen, so I have to reshare the new screen that just opened because it's a different screen. And that's a new screen. So from here, I'm first going to go to here. And I am going to go to File. Actually, I think with GarageBand, all you do is I open where the directory where I have this file, and I think all I do is this drag and drop. So if I drag FBlues Play Along MP3 into this, it just opens. So there it is. I just drag it in. Now I'm going to see if it will let me import from my desktop. So I'm going to drag now this Arthur Drive recording in. I want to let me do that. Thank you, GarageBand. Okay, so your videos are in my way. So now you see I just dragged it in, but it's probably totally in the wrong place. There's my saxophone playing. So you see where I get really loud, that's probably bar 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to drag over this guy. And so we're kind of going to line this up, kind of just without listening to it by looking at the waveform. So what we're looking at here is you're hearing, this is the waveform of the click, 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 and that's beat 1. And that seems to be beat 1 on my saxophone. So just eyeballing it really briefly, I probably am pretty close to having it lined up. Let's listen to it. Here we go. I'll go back to the beginning. There's a count in. Now do you hear that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. So my saxophone playing seems to be quite loud compared to my track. So what I'm going to do next, oh, we do have that here. Good. Let's see if I can do, I'm going to do the old-fashioned way. I'm going to show you a little bit how this works. So you see there's a slider here. These are like volume controls. So as I play this track, I just made my saxophone get myself. Now bring it back up here. What do you think?
That's it. That's great.
Yeah.
So
Look,
I probably made it. So you guys have GarageBand, and it's a free Apple product. If you have Apple products, then just use this because it's a little easier. All I had to do
okay.
was drag and drop into this. You saw what I did. I just dragged the files into here, and the way I've lined them up is when you're looking at a WAV file, you can tell when it's loud, it gets this huge area, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
then, so when you look at the WAV file of the play along, you can see these clicks, click, 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 click. And I knew that I started pretty much in the right place. And you can
Yeah.
play along with that, you know, if I could, you know, just pushed it back. I'm probably going to be playing behind the beat now. That saxophone player sounds a bit lost, doesn't it? So we'll move him forward a little bit and then see what that sounds like. Yeah, so the other thing you can do if you have an external microphone or want to use your computer microphone is I could create a new track here. I'm set up to do this in the studio. So actually the way I'm set up right now, if I do this, I'm going to be using my external microphone. I'm going to stop the share for a second. So what I could do, you see this critter right here, that is my Zoom or my Rode NT4 stereo mic. And I have an interface. So what I would do, if this was me doing this, is I would go back to sharing Logic. This is the next level sort of thing that you can do here. I would just record directly into Logic. I'm going to mute this. I don't know if this is the mute button. It looks like it's the mute button. So now we don't hear that track. So what I could do is I'm going to line the cursor up for the beginning here somewhere. Go to here. I don't know if this means record. No. I wonder how I record. Oh, you probably just press this little red button at the top. I bet you that's all I do. So there, I think I'm recording my voice right now. And I'm going to hear the other track play in a second. And we probably hear my really bad singing. That's pretty funny. Yeah, so I could also use the computer microphone for that, which wouldn't be as wonderful, but might be good enough. Might be as good as a cell phone is, depending on your laptop or your computer device.
Yeah.
So did that all make any sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
I had a question though about the GarageBand because I've opened GarageBand and looked at it and tried to play around with it and never really been able to find how to where to record the tracks and how to set up the file that you're going to record to.
Yeah, and Cheryl's in the session too. So I'll figure out Audacity because Audacity is a free program for Windows that works really well. It's a program I used for years before I got into stuff. I'm just going to close GarageBand now. I'm going to, I probably save this. I'll call it something. I'm going to call it test project. And where we're going to save it, I'll put it on my desktop.
Question, Stephen.
Yep.
Now that I have that in GarageBand, how do I get it out if I would want the file, or where does it save to?
Yeah, I'm saving mine to my desktop. There we are. So.
Or it just asks you where to save to?
Yeah, it asked me where to save to, but I probably have to export the file. I'm just going to open that whole program again. I'm going to share the GarageBand. So do you see GarageBand? That's the first thing that opens. It wants to do either new project, recent, learn to play, lesson store, project templates. I'm going to open, right now I'm just going to open an empty project is what I started with. And that I have to probably resave the screen, or can you still see it?
can still see it.
So you see this choice, choose a track type on your screen?
Yeah, yeah.
I chose record using a microphone or line input or drag and drop audio files.
Okay.
Input one, whatever. And I'm going to reshare with the screen that just opened, which is this one. I just opened test project. So from here, I want to unmute this, and I'm going to mute this one. So go back to, because I probably want to export this now. So I have. So I'm going to guess that if I go under File, I'm wondering how one does this in GarageBand. I would bounce the file in Logic, but track, share.
It might automatically
Export.
save it somewhere. When you save it, it might put it somewhere.
Oh, I saved it to my desktop, but it saves this whole project. What I'm going to do now is export the song to disk. So it's going to probably export the things, so MP3, that you can play it in another player. And then probably here, where do you see? Oh, MP3, that's what we want. Or WAV. Let's do MP3. Export. That's in doing the whole thing. I probably could have selected just a portion of it to export. And now if I play the MP3, and hopefully you hear this. My phone, so my phone is now recording. Do you hear this? I'm going to go back to the beginning of the track, and I'm going to start playing. Hopefully there's a count in. There we are. Yay! So what do you think?
It's pretty good.
So
it's nice that you can adjust the levels, right?
So
they're not tied together.
Yeah. Anyway, does that help you guys figure out how to record yourselves?
That's great.
Yeah.
You could also do video. What I was doing with all my orchestra kids is I had them do video. And if you do video, I would recommend doing about the highest setting you can. If you want to make a virtual video.
But then we don't have if we play the track through our headphones, then we don't have the track on the video, right? Then we just have us.
Yeah. So it would be, I don't know if we would make available the video of just Stan and myself and Rob playing, and then you could put yours in as well. That's another, maybe in the future. But I think for recording purposes, it'd be fun just to have your audio with our audio, like I just showed you. And the tempos might be a bit fast. Also, Rob, remember, had I think put a slower version of A-Train today too that he was talking about, and we can probably create some other kinds of play-alongs. But I think it's pretty cool. I think that you can do this with your computers today, because when I was coming up, this was technology that would have cost like thousands and thousands of dollars that no one had access to. Yeah.
Could we use iReal Pro for the track?
Yes, you could. I'll show you how to do that, actually. I'm going to...
because that you can adjust the speed and everything yourself.
Yeah, so if you wanted to use iReal Pro, I'm just going to open that. Okay, I'm just going to share. Where did your video go? I've got several screens open now. Okay, so video, screen share, iReal Pro. Now I'm sharing you my iReal Pro. So let's look at, there we go. Okay, there's Blue Bossa, for instance. I should just minimize all your videos. There you are, taking up less space on my screen. So you see Blue Bossa now. I just want to make sure I have it routed through loopback, because I don't think I have iReal. Okay, we've added that into loopback, so you'll be able to hear my broad. So if I press play, There's Blue Bossa. So if I want to, let's say I decide I want to have a slower tempo. I want to learn it slowly. So I want a learning tempo here. So I'm going to go down to okay, so once I'm here, can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
I go to share audio. And do you see the little tiny screen I have here?
Yep.
So I can save as bluebossa.m4a. If it gives me other formats, it does. I can save as a WAV file, which is what I want to do. I can save this as a WAV file, and I'm going to put it on my desktop so I can find it. So desktop, save. So it's going to export this play along as a WAV file. So I'm exporting this as a WAV file. Now I can minimize this. I'm going to stop the screen share because I'm going to jump back into Garageband, hopefully. And we're going to go to Garageband and create a new empty project. And I'm going to save this, and then we're going to go to audio. Okay, now I'm going to share this again with you so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to share the screen now with GarageBand. Now you hopefully see GarageBand. So now I'm going to drag in Blue Bossa Wave. So there's the WAV file I just created in iReal. So I could do the same process. I could record myself. I already have an audio one in here. So I could go up here. Under record, do you see this up here? I can change my count in from 1 bar to 2 bars, or have no count in. I can change metronome speed, which I'm not really concerned about because I'm not really using the metronome that's built into Logic because I'm following the click and whatever the tempo was of the track. I could actually make these the same if I wanted to. But just for an example, I'm just gonna play a little bit of Blue Bossa here. So if I hit record, give myself a chance to find my saxophone. What key are we going to be in? There we go. I think my microphone gain is set a little loud. It sounds like I'm breaking up a little bit. My waveform looks rather okay. This is what not to do. I'm peaking my levels like crazy, so I actually have to turn my microphone levels down. I have them set so you can hear me loudly, but my saxophone is You hear that noise in there because I actually have my levels set. So I'm going to hit the Control Z and undo that. And I'm going to turn down my gain levels on my microphone quite a bit. So my voice probably got soft now because that's probably more reasonable for me actually recording saxophone. Use this one more time. And so you remember what key this actually is in. too high. Like when you're using the, yeah, I'm still peaking. I would have to turn
Yeah.
my levels down a lot more than that. So the phone is actually kind of nice because the phone kind of does that for you. My levels are too high. Anyway, I'm just going to, you get the idea, I hope, I think. So does this seem less scary now than it did an hour ago?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm using GarageBand. So if you're an Apple person, I'm pretty sure it's a free download for your computer or your phone or your iPad. And then you can play with it, and it's kind of an interesting way to do it. For Windows, I would use a program called Reaper or a program that I just showed you, Audacity. They're free downloads. They're totally open source, and I recorded for several years, did everything in Audacity. There's probably some things you have to download, file converters and stuff. They're all out there for free. It's just figuring it all out.
Stephen?
Yeah.
Sorry, maybe you can, I don't know if everybody knows what iReal Pro is and how to get it, if anybody's interested.
Okay. Does everybody know what iReal Pro is?
I've heard of it. In fact, it's one of the questions I was going to ask, which was,
So
would it
it's
be
a
something that would be
it's a
recommended to
useful
us? Would be
program. I'm going to.
Sorry,
hopefully-
Stephen, can you make yourself louder? You're barely audible.
Yeah, because yes, I turned down my microphone gain for the saxophone, but I still need to turn it down even further because the saxophone's much louder than me. There we go. So yeah, iReal, I'm just going to open a website. I'm going to show you probably the best thing to do there is actually just, I'm just going to say, I'm going to share a screen with you again so you can see their website. Sharing Google Chrome with you. There you go. So this is their website. It's a program you have to, it's not free. You have to purchase it. I have it. I find it quite a useful program. So it's on the App Store for your phone or device. It's $14.99. It's also available for Android as well. This is not just an Apple product. It's gonna go back. Yeah, Mac, Android, and iPhone. The Mac version's probably in the Mac store. I actually use the Mac version on my Mac, and I do have it on my phone and my iPad. Because the other thing, you can go to a free forum and download all these chord progressions. And I've used it in gigs. Sometimes when somebody calls a tune, it's like, I don't have it in my real book, but I might have it in my iReal app. At least it doesn't give me the melody, but it does give me the chord progression. I'm going to stop this share, and I'm going to share with iReal again. It's going to close GarageBand. Don't save. Okay, let's get rid of GarageBand. Let's quit GarageBand. That's what we want to do. Don't save.
Quick question, Stephen.
Yeah.
I know iReal Pro and I now know how to record myself. Do you still need me?
No, I think do we want to wrap it up, or is there any other questions?
I also know iReal Pro and use it. So I don't
Okay.
use it to its fullest, but I use it to practice too.
Yeah, so it's a program. It's iRealPro.com. You can check it out there. I'm just going to share it one more time, and I'll show you. It is kind of a useful tool. And I know Brad was using that for all his students this year when you were doing jazz lessons. I use it with my students, mainly my jazz piano students, so they have a chance to play with rhythm. JAG, we haven't got into using it, but it's something that I will be. But
Okay.
I can talk to you about it another time, or you can check out the website. It's useful. There is a way of downloading all the chord progressions, so you from their forum, and it doesn't cost you anything. It costs you for the app, but it is a fun little app, and it generates like the play-alongs, the piano bass drums, and then with my piano students, I mute the piano so they don't hear the iReal piano.
And it's really cool because it transposes it. You can ask it to transpose a tune if you want to play it in a different key.
Yeah,
And
I'll just quickly show.
one thing I've also done, sometimes you get a chart from somebody where the chords are different than the ones in iReal Pro. And then you can duplicate the tune and then manually change the chords in it so that it matches the chart that you have.
Yeah, you can also input your own tune. So you have a key change function here. You have a tempo function here, and also in the preferences. If I remember where preferences is, under preferences is where you change it. Like if I'm a saxophone player, where is that? Audio? No, general. Where is that? I don't remember where that is. If I'm, oh, transposing instruments under general. So now I'm going to set it as if I'm a saxophone player. And so now the chord, it's in the same key for playback, but it has the saxophone key. So it's still in C minor concert, showing A minor 7 is the first chord that I'm playing. So that's set up now for the E flat transposition, or I can change it to bass clef or B flat transposition. I was playing trumpet or tenor sax.
Excellent.
And if I want, I can change the tempo, or I can change the overall key, the concert key of the thing. I can adjust volumes of various aspects.
And I also sometimes will leave the piano in if I'm trying to do some soloing, so that I've got the
you could leave the piano in.
on.
You also can like highlight like this 4-bar section. I just want to practice these 4 bars. I'm just going to cycle over that over. And sometimes I have students do this too. So let's go back around again. Here we go. So just you can use that as a practice on one part of it.
That's
Yeah,
great.
so I
didn't
find
know
it quite a
that.
useful little program for teaching. Back in the early days, I used a program called Band in a Box, which was before iReal Pro. But this sounds a little more intelligent than that did, although it's pretty predictable after you've used it for a while. But it's a great little resource for practicing improvisation, because you hear the chord progression and you hear the rhythm. It's sort of like a glorified metronome. It does help you a bit figure all this stuff out.
Absolutely.
Definitely worth the money.
Well, especially if the cell phone app's only like $10 or $15.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, that's, for the price of taking a friend for a latte, you can buy a app that helps you. So it's so reasonable. Like Band in a Box used to cost like $150, $200, and that was like 15 years ago. So when iReal come out and it's like does the same thing for like 1/10 of the cost, it was like, oh my God, because when it first came out, it was like $9.99 or something like that. It was like $10. It was literally 1/10 of the cost of Band in a Box when it came out. So it's like, okay, I guess we're going to use this one now because it does a better job. It's more flexible than Band in a Box was. So that
one question, Stephen.
Yeah.
Does iReal Pro produce a click for the corresponding to the metronome? Because I mean, when I try and follow along, and especially if the play along track is a little bit more complex, I get lost in my time. So is there?
Actually, it visually shows you where you are. It visually moves the cursor.
Okay.
Which is a highlighter.
Yeah.
It moves it from bar to bar, so you always know exactly where you are in the tune.
It's about, but does it show you also between each beat as well? Or does
no, just bar to bar.
Gotta wait until it jumps to the next bar, and then you know that it's there.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
But you can have it do 1 or 2 bars count in, so that gives you the speed ahead of time.
Okay.
And the drum track helps you hear
Yeah,
every beat
yeah.
in the bar, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, you
also very, very simple. They do not any weird embellishments or stuff. They just play it super straight.
And you can see
Okay,
there's
that's all right. Oh, great,
I've
yeah.
downloaded 1,350 tunes from their forum. So there's a
That's every
lot
single
of,
tune they have in the jazz forum.
so I've downloaded quite a few here. You can see.
Yeah, I did that too.
Um,
You can also download other libraries. I have like the Beatles library downloaded.
Yeah,
Then
they
you can
have,
play along to Beatles and stuff.
yeah, so there is something to experiment and have a look at. Definitely would recommend it, especially for your phone, because for $10 or $15, you can't really go too far wrong in terms of what it costs. And I think I've only purchased it once. I think they keep updating it, and I haven't had to repurchase another version.
Yeah.
I do have a Mac version, and I have the like cell phone version or whatever. Those are separate prices, but I have I can run the iPhone version for the same price. I run the same. I'm allowed to install it on my iPad and my phone, and it's also for Android. It's probably similar, probably from the Google Play Store or something like that. Yeah, it's available for Android. It's not available for Windows, as far as I know. It's still only Android and iOS or Mac. But it's a good little program for what it does, and there's also the Abersol. There's other things out there, but the nice thing about iReal is you can change the key and you can change the tempo. Any questions from yesterday? We'll start there. We're okay? Okay. So what I want to talk about tonight was I'm just going to start sharing screens. I'm going to show you my project here that we started last night in Garageband, which is I recorded myself playing Au Prival, a little bit on my saxophone with the play along track. And I think it was the one called Arthur Drive, because I just used voice memo. And I'm just going to play a little bit. I think this is what I recorded yesterday. Start playing. Hopefully there's a count in. There we go. So I was going to check and see. First thing I'm going to do is just check the alignment of the track, because I have a feeling when I listen to that, maybe my rhythm wasn't so great, but I have a feeling I just don't have it quite totally lined yet. And it looks like I might be just a touch forward on the saxophone track.
Yeah, I could sort of tell.
So I'm moving it back, and we'll listen again, because I'm just lining up the waveform to try and, I didn't do a proper, well, we should talk about how to do this different ways. I've got that I just line up waveforms and use my ears to sort of figure out if it's in the right places. I still feel like I'm a little behind the beat, aren't I?
Yeah.
Let's push it forward a little bit more. I might have just been behind the beat when I played it yesterday. I just quickly did a recording while everybody was watching. Yeah, it's probably about, let's see, assume that's pretty close to what I did yesterday.
Question.
Yep.
Can I ask a question? How do you expand and contract those tracks?
Oh, when you see me doing this and then doing that?
Yeah.
I'm using the trackpad on the Mac. It has the big pad, and I have two fingers, and I move them apart, and I move them closer together. That's how I do
Do you know how to do that on an iPad?
that. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I'd have to load the session into my iPad and play with it.
You might be able directly on the iPad, like stretching it and contracting it directly on the screen of the iPad, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, that might be the way it works. Maybe if you highlight the track, because I think that basically the Mac is set up that you do with the trackpad what you would do on the device's screen. So that would be my first guess. Anyway, so there's a few things we can do to maybe make this sound better. Let's play it one more time. So for me, the saxophone is really loud and the track is really quiet. So the first thing I'll do is I'm going to bring the volume of the track, take the volume of everything down about 6 decibels. And then I'm going to take the track probably up from there, and the saxophone maybe still down from there. Everything down about 6 decibels, because what was happening also, I normally use Logic, so I'm wondering if I have the, if I have the mixing board view in this program the same way.
On iPad, you would go to Mixer, but I'm not sure what it's like on the Mac.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up my play along track, and I'm going to bring down the saxophone a bit more. A little bit of the saxophone to the left channel a little bit, and I pan the play along just for fun to the right channel a little bit. So at the beginning, I have a bunch of noise here. I have like me talking, and I'm going to start playing. Hopefully, there's a camera, all sorts of things. So we can probably cut all that sort of stuff out. So if I highlight here. And is this going to work the same? Oh, yes, I can still split it. Okay, what I do here is I do the equivalent of a right mouse click, and I can, on the track, and then I can split it playhead. So I can split somewhere. And I was going to see if this actually works the same as Logic, and I can still move this around. No, that's a Logic feature then. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this off. So I'm just going to tidy it up by taking away the click, 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 and all the stuff before that. So we're going to just right click. We're going to split that play. And I'm going to delete that little piece of audio that I don't want. The same here. I'm going to split it playhead on the saxophone track, which is called Arthur Drive. I should rename that actually. We're going to call that saxophone. I recorded this in voice memo on my phone because that's one. So a lot of you don't have external mics and stuff, so that might be the way you do it. So we'll call that saxophone, and we're going to delete this piece. And this we're not going to use. So now I'm actually going to.
You just deleted
all of the saxophone.
Oh, you deleted everything.
We have Control Z, which is the get out of jail card.
Yeah.
I accidentally deleted a whole bunch of stuff, but I was able to undo. That's the magic of this. You can undo. And I only played the melody. I could have played a little bit more last night, but I didn't. So with this, the reason it all deleted is because I seem to have everything selected. Now I'm going to select both of these and just bring them over to bar 1. Or the beginning of the beginning of the place at the beginning of the session. So let's see, with GarageBand, those of you that use it more than I do, is there any effects that I can add to tracks?
Yes.
How do I get there? Is there a mixer? Because I should have an icon up here. I have the scissors icon. I have the,
You can add effects like reverb or echo, or if you want to go really crazy, you can add like auto tune and stuff like that.
yeah. We have EQ. Okay, we have EQ. So this is something I want to talk about here. So we're going to look at my saxophone part, which is in desperate need of EQing. So and it got really soft, but yeah, if we just listen to my saxophone. So with EQ here, we do have some of the same features that Logic has. The first thing I'm going to do is put in a low shelf. I'm going to take all the frequencies out below about 60 hertz, because that's below the range of human hearing generally. So if you have a lot of low end in your recordings, it's going to sound muddy. It's not so much with a 2-track recording like this, but if there was many tracks, this would become a problem. It's also not showing me. Oh, I have to click on the analyzer. There we go. You can see my waveform now in the. And there we go. I'm gonna cycle around here, so it keeps playing this section. I did that by you highlight this bar here, and you can see I turn this section yellow. What that does is it's going to keep playing around and looping over this one section. So while I'm working on the EQ here, I'm going to take down the upper shelf as well. And I'm going to play around with the upper shelf a little bit so you can hear what that does to the sound. And there we go. There it is. I really raise it up. It becomes very bright. And that's a little bit obnoxious. If I bring it down, it becomes a little bit dull. I think my saxophone needs a little help. So I'm just going to raise it from about 1,000 hertz. I'm going to raise it just a little bit. And there we go. Another thing you can do is take one of your EQ settings, one of these bell curve ones, and narrow the field a bit. And something we like to do is actually really emphasize it a lot and sort of figure out where if there's something that really sounds bad. So I'm doing a sweep of just to figure out if there's any frequencies that are really causing a problem.
Whoa.
That one is a problem. So we're going to actually bring that down, and we're going to take some of that frequency out of the recording. So I went from about plus 20 to about minus. Just took a little bit of that area out of the recording. So it seems that this room I'm playing in is amplifying some of the frequencies in that. I'm going to give myself a little more volume so I can hear myself better. Actually, I'm going to go to headphones so I can actually hear what's going on. Because otherwise I'm going to start feeding back on my microphone if I turn the volume. Okay, so that's not so bad. Let's go back to hearing the track. Not sure I have it completely lined up. started a bit late is what it was. Not that. Yeah. There we go. So now if I wanted to that's mastering. Okay, it looks like this is how this works. I'm gonna, yeah, so I have the saxophone track, and it looks like if I go down here to track and under setting, I can go to mastering, and what will that do to me? I'm afraid to know. That's going to EQ tools. These are probably presets. Horns. I wonder what it's going to do if I do the preset for alto sax. This could be really interesting. Oh, it changed my EQ a little bit. Let's see what that does. Okay, the auto setting for alto sax bumped the EQ around 500 and bumps the EQ around 4,000, which is interesting. Because I actually took a whole bunch out around here. So let's go back to that and see what that does to our sound. I also know what I should
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What does EQ stand for?
Equalization.
Huh?
So I'll explore. Okay, what equalization does is what it does is we have sound on the range from like 20 hertz up to 20,000. And so the really low is, your concert A is about 440 exactly. Each note has its own specific frequency, but within that, there's also the frequencies that your instrument produces. Piano, of course, has a very large range because you have your lowest note on the piano and your highest note on the piano. If we look at the play along track, it's probably going to look really interesting, different sort of waveform altogether on the EQ. So you notice down here, like there's a lot of activity below 60 hertz. So on this play along track, I'm actually going to put a low shelf in to remove some of that. So if we play it back again. I should cut myself talking there too. So I just took it and put a bottom shelf in the play along. Again, below 60, about 80 hertz is below. It's getting below human hearing. So again, if you have a lot of tracks and you have all that, it's going to create a sort of a mud sound if you have too many low frequencies. There we go. Make warmer, make darker. I find these kind of frightening. Okay. So we have some things we can use that are, there's a low cut 50 hertz. Probably just did kind of what I had already put in. Mastering tools here. So no EQ tools. So we could do, I was doing it manually, but you could do some things in here as well and just use your own judgment. This says make darker. So when you make darker, it looks like it boosts the whole bottom, like from about 300 hertz down. And that will make the track. Yeah, so you can play around with that and use your own judgment as to how you want it to be. For me, it's going to be something like this, and I'm going to bring this back up again. I usually like things pretty flat. Oh, this was recorded with a phone. If I was recording with my proper mics, I wouldn't. I have some pretty good quality mics, so when I'm using those, I don't usually have to mess around too much with the EQ unless there's some funny things going on in the sound of the room itself. Does GarageBand give you any reverb options?
Yeah, on the left, it says effects. It says EQ output and effects when you were on master.
Oh, okay. We don't have a, oh, we have, okay. You have a little bit. You don't have you have far much more control in Logic than you do here, but you have some. So I don't think we want master echo. That could be really, let's see what happens if I put master echo on my saxophone. That's probably, that could be dangerous. Doesn't do a whole lot. Let's play around with some of those settings. Let's look at the reverb settings here. So we're going to go to master reverb. Let's do reverb small hall. That's probably something that's going to be actually useful. I don't seem to be doing much to it. Oh, anyway.
Whoa.
Okay. Okay, it looks like you have this slider over here. So let's put some of these back to something more reasonable.
That was nice.
So this slider, again, you don't want to overdo it because that doesn't really sound natural anymore. So, but it, you know, so probably about, generally I go up to where it starts being really noticeable, and then I go back a bit from there. And that might be, you want it to be present, but you don't want it to be obvious. Like some of these effects, if you do too much, it just sounds too much. But you want a little bit so the room doesn't sound dry. So if I take this out and I go back, the play along track itself shouldn't need much, assuming that, assuming we did our job correctly. Oh, I could use a little bit as well. There's one place where the bass is a little bit on the drums. Right there. That's what I was fun lining up. So there we go. So we have. We also have a compressor here, which I think my sound is big enough right now. But let's say I recorded it really too low. Let's look at audio track 4 here, which I muted, which I think was me. Demonstrating how the thing works. Okay, let's say, and I actually wanted to use that. I would probably compress it a bit. So we're gonna bring up the amount. It's gonna. So if I would recorded too low, I could play with compression. Sometimes I do a loop just so I have the same section over and over again so I can hear what I'm actually doing to it. Let's bring down my highs for fun. Let's bring up my mids for fun and bring down my lows and see what happens then. So, oh dear. I don't think I'm going to have a career as a vocalist, but here we go. And I didn't line up my voice track. That's like completely in the wrong place. Let's bring He's lost. He's really lost. He's like about 8 bars late coming in. Here, let's try that. So there, I think I'm recording my, nope. That's not my voice right now. And I'm gonna hear the other track play in a second. Bibbidi-doo. That's where I come in. So, oh dear. I'm glad I'm providing them humorous here. Okay, they're gonna split this at the playhead. We're gonna delete all of that nonsense, and then we're gonna drag this up so it might hopefully start to line up with something. Oh yeah, it's way behind. Let's see how close I am. I'm getting close. Probably about there. Let's bibbidi-doo, 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 bibbidi-doo. There we go. Let's see how I did. Bibbidi-doo, bibbidi-doo, boop-ba-doo, dibbidi-doo, bibbidi-doo, bop. Okay, now we can have some. We'll have the Steve ensemble of me scatting in right channel and the saxophone in left channel. Oh dear. Bibbidi-doo, bibbidi-doo, boop-ba-doo, dibbidi-doo, bibbidi-doo, bop. Okay, so just so I might just bring the saxophone volume down so it matches my voice. Here we go. Anyway. Good, I'm gonna stop sharing for a second. What do you think? Any questions? I might just be boring everybody to death at this point, I'm assuming.
No, it's good to see the different options, at least, I mean, it's going to take more exploring, but it's good to see them.
Yeah, so that's some of what's out there in the possibilities. I might just might show you a project I've done in Logic just for fun. What should we look at? Okay, one other thing I've been looking at a little bit is something from our faculty concert coming up. Okay, I'm going to share another screen for you. This is kind of what Logic looks like. This is no longer Garageband. Okay, this is Logic. So this is something we're using for the faculty concert next week. It's a piano trio version of Tenderly. The original tracks for recording purposes, there was all these MIDI tracks that were there. There's also I did a couple of piano takes. There's a take of 2 mics with drums and mic with bass. Maybe I can find the beginnings. That wasn't really beginning. So here you can see the mixing board, which is the way it's laid out in Logic. So we have different effects that all go in the channel. So if I look at, for instance, we looked at piano left and right, which is over here. I haven't done a lot with this. I have 2 side channels running into reverb, running Space Designer, adding a bit of space to the piano sound, but only a slight little bit, like -21, -21.8 looks like I'm both. I'm using on my Waves plugin, which is the L3, which is giving a little bit of compression, just to thicken up the sound a little bit. This also will, if I just play back, this makes it louder, and also at the same time can bring down the limit of it at the same time. Yeah, this is a recording of me on the 6'2" Yamaha in the back room with 2 microphones. And we have Stan We have Rob. And we have me. Yeah, so this is what a session looks like in Logic. So there's a lot more here than what you saw in GarageBand. So we have our EQ, similar actually functionality. We have different plugins that we can assign in a channel strip. I'm using Sony cassette deck emulator that actually does some mastering to bring the tracks sounding more uniform at the end. It's very subtle if I play without it. It's very subtle. You might not even hear a difference over a Zoom session. It just gives a little bit of life. I can do things here if I wanted to as well, like add stereo separation. So just widen the stereo field, for instance. I can take it to one side. Probably I do want to widen the stereo field, especially for a piano trio. I want the piano to sound like it's filling the space more than it is right now on this recording. Probably also take this over fully panning left and right channel. Also with Rob's bass sound, I think it needs a little more bottom. So if we're looking at, he's on track for, so I put a little bit of chorus pedal in here. You can also just look at his EQ. So we've already brought up the bass voices, and we brought a little bit of a shelf here on the upper frequencies. We can also do automation of levels, which we can bring up and down certain dynamics, which I haven't touched yet. Anyway, you're getting a sneak peek of so yeah, obviously, I don't know if I'm sure, I'm not sharing, I'm just sharing the Logic screen. There's a huge difference in what you're seeing of possibility in Logic as compared to GarageBand. So does that help, or just giving you a little sneak? That's some of what I don't have. Some of my larger projects I've done in Logic aren't loaded in here right now.